Hey friends, Ashley here. First off, welcome back. I know that it has been quite a while since our last posted video. Real quick to our Blood Bowl watchers. Yeah, I know it's been a while since we've had one of our Blood Bowl League games on here. Unfortunately, we've had to place it on hiatus for the time being. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to revisit it sometime soon, or at least sometime in the future. But other than that, I do hope to continue putting some content out there. I don't really know how often currently, but hopefully I'll be able to get back into the full swing of things here pretty soon for y'all. But that's not what this video is about. I just wanted to talk a little bit real quick about Warhammer, Age of Sigmar. Some of y'all might have seen my videos I had been posting about painting Disciples of Tzeentch. Specifically, I was painting them for a tournament that was coming up, and that tournament just happened this past weekend. I had the pleasure of going to Warhammer, the Warhammer Age of Sigmar US Open in New Orleans. It's a set of 3 that they're doing. The first one was in Orlando, Florida, and then we have another one, I think, in November in Austin that I hope to be at, but we'll see. So a little bit about my background. I feel like I'm pretty familiar with tournament scenes, not Warhammer. I did come from a competitive Magic the Gathering background. Had been to a good number of Opens and GTs years ago before I had my kid. And though I do love the Magic community, the Warhammer community though is like a whole nother level above them as far as in their tournaments, at least this one. I just was blown away by how welcoming the community was, how nice everybody was, friendly to new players, to people they don't know. Even the people who are in like the world circuit and stuff like that. I mean, everybody, it was just a great event. It was run really well. The TOs, the staff were amazing. Everything about it was awesome. And then I love the fact that if you wanted to and it's your thing, you can totally have a beer while you're playing. It's just super casual and friendly. And then of course the ceremony after is really fun. The whole thing about it, I really like how Warhammer does their tournament process and their scenes and things like that. I think it's awesome. So I'm happy to now be a part of that community. As far as Age of Sigmar, this was my first time ever playing an actual full game, let alone a tournament game. I have only played a handful of games of Age of Sigmar, half games with friends who were also learning the game. So I was completely new, completely green, didn't know what I was doing. And of course, I decided to take a very hard army for new beginner players, Disciples of Tzeentch. I took them because I loved the models and I liked the idea of the paint scheme I could do with them. I had no idea where they were when I picked them in the competitive meta. At the time that I started painting them, they were actually at the top of the meta S tier. And come to find out, they're usually one of the armies that people are like, ooh, gross, not Tzeentch. I actually think that the army is now a bit more friendly to play against with the series of facts that they have brought to the table for Tzeentch as far as like the pink horrors. But yeah, I know it still can be one of those teams that people are not super excited about facing against. Unless you're playing the mortal side, that's a little bit more friendly. But regardless of that, I definitely have a lot of fun with it. Again, with Magic the Gathering, I came from like a mid-range background and more mid-range control. So this was more up my playstyle alley. Let's see what else I can say. As far as how the tournament went for me, I am very happy with my results in the tournament. I ended up going 3-2. I was hoping to get 1 win. That was my goal, 1 win. So I did meet that goal, but more so I wanted to learn the game and I wanted to meet some cool people, and that I definitely did. And I went up against, let's see if I can remember, I went up against Skaven and Sons of Behemoth and Lumineth, Daughters of Cain, and Gloomspite Gitz. All of my opponents were great people, had a lot of fun getting to know them and playing against them. Super good sports, super helpful in helping me learn the game. Very fortunate in getting paired up against them. I did lose to Lumineth and Daughters of Cain. Going into this tournament, I was most worried about going up against them because I figured my list would probably struggle against them the most. They're very good in the meta right now. And the list that I took, I made the decision to make a last minute change that would make me even worse against those armies. And I'll go into my list and stuff like that here in a minute. And yeah, it definitely shone through, and going forward I will probably switch back. And again, I'll talk into all of that here in a minute. But first, I wanted to go over some of the other stuff that happened. I did get the Elite package, so it was cool arriving and getting all this neat swag. I got this bag full of stuff. Comes with a water bottle, a Lord Hasmotep the Resplendent from 40K. We'll maybe try to do a more up-close picture in a few minutes. Let's see, this is Slaves of Darkness Holga Cloven Horn as the two unique things. I got some 40K dice. This is White Scars. There's all kinds of little things in here. Some purple US Open 2021 New Orleans objective tokens. I think there's some vouchers for Warhammer Online, like Warhammer Underworlds and stuff like that. There's a little book in here. We got these commemorative pins from 40K. I don't know anything about I know pretty much nothing about 40K, so I don't know which faction this is for. Sorry guys, we played 40K. Let's see. Got that. I got this really awesome dice tray that came in clutch. I used it all weekend to roll dice in, otherwise the dice were flying off the table everywhere, so this was great having. Along with, even more exciting than the 3-2 results, somehow my army got picked to go into the showcase, and I ended up winning Best Runner-Up for Painted Army. I am amazed that I got picked for that because there were phenomenal paint jobs out there. But I'm also very, very happy because I put in a lot of work on these guys, sacrificed a lot of free time to try to get it done in time for this tournament, and it seemed to have paid off. So I got this little trophy here, and I got to pick out of a chest and got a Black Library book. I haven't decided if I want to open it up yet. It seems super official. And then I also won the raffle and got this really, really sweet Infinity airbrush by Harder and Steinbeck. Super, super excited about this because I was actually planning to go out and buy this exact airbrush after this weekend because I need an actual good airbrush. So, yay. Overall, like I said, a terrific weekend, way above what I could have asked for my first tournament. For best overall, if you're looking at the best overall rankings, I think I got 8th. Otherwise, if you're just looking at the results as far as your points and win to loss factor, I think I got 29th. So very, very happy with that. I'm excited to keep moving forward in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and hopefully just get better and better and improve my abilities and my painting craft. So let's go ahead and, do I want to show you the army on the list I took, or just keep talking about it before I show you all that stuff? Let's go ahead and show you the army and my list, and we'll go from there. All right, real quick, I wanted to show you all a closer look at these guys here. And then this is the pen. Maybe you can let me know in the comments what faction that is for from 40K. There we go. Alright, so as far as the army goes, poor Archeon. Oh man, I'm so thankful he lasted until my last. He finally broke off his base on my last, for my last game, my last match. Thankfully he lasted until after the showcase. And I have yet to glue him back on. I gotta find some way to better fix him to this, because though this is an amazing model, just a terrific model to build and paint, they leave you with just this little spot here on the tail. I know that it's in the shadow. This little, don't break it more, spot here on the tail, plus a little spot here and a spot here to attach it to the base. I don't know what they were thinking, because that's just, he's such a big, tall model. There's no way that is secure. I mean, just a gentle little wobble and he snaps right off. So I'm really going to have to look into basing and maybe even pinning and try to figure out how to put him back on here securely. But here's my actual army I took. And you did, if you go back and look at the channel, I did highlight how I painted a lot of these, including the screamers, the pinks, Archeon himself. I did not show Kairos because by that time I had like 2 weeks left and I had to get everything done. I'm not gonna, the shadow's really bad here trying to show these guys off. I think I showed the Acolytes, there's a Magister. So yeah, and then my other dudes I ended up painting. I only got through, I think it's 30, 40, 30. I don't know how many blues, 30. I think it's 30 blues and brims, more screamers, a couple of rush job chaos spawns, change caster, magister on disc, chaos sorcerer lord, and then a unit of flamers and 2 exalted flamers. So that's all I had available for the tournament. There was one point where I did get a little summon happy and forgot to hold back 10 blues for my pinks that were on the battlefield. So when the pinks died, I could not split and split again. Really bad noob mistake. Don't do that. All right, so here's my list. I had changed it last minute and wishing I hadn't changed it, but I really wanted to have pinks. Here, I'll go ahead and go over it real quick and I'll talk about it. So you got Host Arcanum, Prize Sorcery is my grand strategy, Inspired is my triumph because I came at 1990 points. You have Archeon, Kairos, Blue Scribes, Magister as my general. Battle line was 10 pinks, 10 Kyrric Acolytes, 10 Kyrric Acolytes. And I chose Battle Regiment and Command Entourage, Magnificent, and kept the spell enhancement. And I'll go into that here in a minute. So that was my list. Originally, those 10 pinks were a unit of 3 screamers. And that gave me enough points to have a spell portal. And then I also, instead of Magister, had the change caster. Well, actually, originally my list, instead of the pinks, was 3 screamers, no Magister. And then I was able to squeeze in there a change caster and a chaos sorcerer lord. Then I took that away. I took away the chaos sorcerer lord and put in a portal. And then I took the portal away, put in pinks, and switched over to the Magister for Glimpse the Future and his like mini Kairos War Scroll spell that puts a Chaos Spawn out there. Because I thought maybe that would help substitute or help me against shooting armies, even though I didn't have a portal. It didn't, FYI. I think he made a spawn once. Yeah, so this is my list. Not bad, obviously. Knowing nothing about the game or my army, I still did do very well. Obviously, Archeon is just super hard for people to deal with. There's certainly armies out there that just cannot beat him. And he's the main reason why I think I did do as well as I did. Because the more Tzeentch magical part of the list did not function well. I did not get to do a whole lot with Kairos. He either hid or died because his range just wasn't good enough against a shooting meta without the portal. And for some reason, I could not roll a 2 to save my life off the blue scribes for a special ability. That was pretty funny. And the Magister either hit or died. So, obviously a lot of it was just me playing it incorrectly. But also, was not super happy with the list going forward. If I were to keep Archaon, I would take out the pinks and put back in the 3 Screamers, or take out the Acolytes and put in 2 units of Screamers and make sure I have a spell portal with Kairos. Because the problem with him is with his 18-inch range and with shooting in the top part of the meta being so good at Lumineth and Daughters and some other armies, he'd dissolve into a cloud of feathers. If he either was out of range, if they're shooting to try to stay alive, meaning he was doing nothing but giving me a couple of fate points a turn, or I try to get him in range so he can actually get his spells off and do something, and then he'd just go poof, and he was gone. So I think spell portal is definitely needed right now for Kairos to really be effective. The pinks were amazing. I wish I could fit them in the list, but with Archaon, it's so many points. I could not figure out how the best way to do the battle line and have pinks. Let's see what else. Acolytes, they're terrible. But, I mean, they don't do a lot of damage. They have no saves. But they're only 125 points, and a lot of people, they do what I need them to do. They usually will generate me, on average, about 2 fate points, maybe a couple more. And most importantly, they screen my leaders for just enough turns for them to try to get away to safety. Because people just don't want to spend the time trying to kill them because they do so little. So they are able to actually help and hold some objectives. They're not great, but they're not terrible. They're mostly just ignored, which is perfectly fine with me. Screamers, these 6 free Screamers you get, obviously clutch. Right now they're very good. They have such a long movement, being able to travel around the board, and the board being smaller. They're really good at snagging objectives. They're good at pestering any sort of small unit or vulnerable hero that's kind of left undefended. And obviously they're actually pretty good monster killers. Them paired with Archaon that's how I was able to consistently take down a mega a turn. So that was very important. With suns being so prevalent right now, you need to be able to, if you need to be able to beat them, to consistently do 35 wounds a turn. If not that, you definitely need to be able to do 35 wounds every 2 turns. And Archaon plus those boys did make it possible. Let's see what else I can say. The casting in this list with Archaon is not what it used to. You cannot against Lumineth, did not summon a single thing. I never got to 10 points. Both Archaon and the blue scribes died turn 1 before I even got to go. Lumineth have an insane board coverage. I thought I'd be okay deploying at the far end of the board away from their line. It didn't make a difference with foxes. They cover a very long distance, and then they just dissolve. Lumineth is very good, but they are very fragile. So I don't think they're unbeatable. Lumineth didn't actually have great results at the Open. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 lists that went 4-1 maybe, or were they all 3-2? They definitely weren't at the top, surprisingly, because it felt like they were unbeatable to me. Daughters also very good. Just a great army. I really enjoyed playing against Daughters, even though they kicked my butt. But I think they're a really good army. They look fun to play. I like that they're more snake-oriented just because those models are more pleasing to the eye, to me anyways. Not a big fan of the Witch Elves. But bow snakes are very, very very difficult to deal with. And if they screen them properly, really hard to get to. I think I would have had a much better time against them, again, if I had a portal. So that way I could fling Kairos's Gift of Change into them and put a Chaos Spawn in them. I think the game would have been quite a bit different if I could have consistently done that. What else? So, going forward, if I were to stick with Archaon, I would put... I think you either have to go all in Archaon, in which case take out Kairos, put in Chaos Sorcerer Lord and Chaos Lord, though be mindful with Chaos Lord that Roar is definitely a thing. And Archaon got roared a lot, especially if you're going up against Suns, so Chaos Lord would not have actually helped a whole lot. And also keep in mind, shooting is very good at the top tables right now. They're gonna get shot down very easily, so your whole all-in on Archaon may not work if you go up against the shooting armies, because your Chaos Sorcerer Lord and your Chaos Lord might just die before they get to buff Archaon. But in saying that, if you can find a way to keep them alive and buff Archaon, like I said, there are a lot of armies out there that can't beat Archaon, and there are armies that struggle to beat him, but can in a couple turns. So, making him that much better with a Chaos Sorcerer Lord or two and a Chaos Lord, I think is very good. And you can also, at that point, put in pinks, which are terrific objective holders. So either go all in Archaon, no Kairos, back them up with Chaos Sorcerer Lord, maybe a second Chaos Sorcerer Lord. I think you're in a good place at that point, and just don't bother with being super strong in spell casting and getting the fate points, because it's just not going to happen. Maybe once or twice the game you'll be able to summon. Or you go in, you have Archaon, you of course have Shield of Fate and Infusion Arcanum for them, and just leave it at that, and go more in on the spell Tzeentch side, in which case you're supporting Kairos. You put in the spell portal, you either go 1 unit of pinks, 2 units of screamers, or you go 2 units of acolytes and 1 unit of screamers. I don't know which one's better. Put the spell portal in, and then put in Changecaster over Magister, most likely. I wasn't really a fan of the Magister. Maybe if he's Magister on disc, in which case he has more coverage, he does a little better. But he was very underwhelming for me. He rarely ever got any spell off. And when he did, I wish that he was a Changecaster, so that way I could kind of machine gun off, but that's okay. So yeah, that's what I would do going forward if I keep Archaon. But honestly, what I want to try is I want to try going in more pure Tzeentch control-y and go Kairos and Lord of Change, backed up by a lot of spellcasters, maybe a Curseling, definitely Changecaster, Blue Scribes obviously, maybe an O-grade Thaumaturge, or maybe even Be'lakor. I might instead go the Be'lakor route. I will be sad to lose my Archaon, because I did spend a lot of time on him, and he was definitely the main eye catcher for the judges and other people just walking by our table. He's a very good centerpiece. So my army probably will not have as much of a wow factor without him there. But that's okay. It just means I can put more time into making Kairos better looking, and then paint up Lord of Change well, or Be'lakor. But yeah, I'm thinking currently, that's what I want to start playtesting with, is I want to try out Lord Change Kairos, maybe have a couple units of pinks, and have Spell Portal, obviously, maybe Spell Snare, Shackles, or Geminids, as I think both those are very good and underplayed right now. And go from there and just try to be more casty. I'm pretty excited about the future. Playing more with this army and playing in more tournaments. I do hope to be at the Austin Open in November, and then maybe after that the Lone Star event in February in Arlington. So if y'all are there, come and check me out. Hope to say hello and meet new friends. Thank Thank y'all for following the channel, and if you have any recommendations, and please let me know in the comments, especially if you have any suggestions for attaching Archeon to here. If you have any list recommendations, again, I'm a new player to AOS, new to Tzeentch. I will take any and every tip or critique you got for me. Hope y'all have a great week. Thanks for watching.